Well, welcome to our build at Hatillo this beautiful February morning. Cicadas just starting to sing to us. But anyways, okay, but it's my turn to do some singing because we're just in the process of installing the uh, plumbing lines under this house. And this is something that causes me to sing a bad tune when I see typical Tico plumbing is simply described as horrible. And like I was leaning on my engineer the other day in his inspection, I says, why do they keep doing this? And it's about, here is the typical, because I ignored the plans and I says, why don't engineers learn how to do this correctly instead of doing, bluntly speaking, dumbass shit. Here's a typical house, and this is what these plans would have been. They put these concrete boxes all in the gardens surrounding the house and run typically in splitting gray waters and black waters, which really doesn't make any sense either. They all need to be distributed in the same way, in my humble opinion. But so what would typically happen, this is the perimeter of the house here. So what they would typically do is they'd have right here they'd have a registro, this concrete box in the garden. So that, it looks, when you're done, you look like you got a garden of concrete boxes. So first of all, cosmetically, it sucks. But more importantly, functionally, it sucks on steroids. Because otherwise you'd have, a box here. And then it would come out, that one might have, this is the one bathroom and laundry here. So they might put one there. Then they would have another registro here so that this would flow out, hit the box, and then go this way. Now, functionally, that is dumbass stupid. It's like if you get on a freeway and then put a stop sign every mile. How efficient would that make it? So what happens here, there's a toilet right here, so that might have they might have run that to a registro right at your practically at the front door. So that means you flush a toilet here, it runs here, hits a dead end, and has to make a right-hand turn. So when it slows down for that concrete box registro, that's where literally shit settles out. Because when it's got, you're interrupting the flow, then it has to get up its velocity to gain and continue all the way down the front of the house. So we would have some more, we've got a kitchen here, and we've got another bathroom here. So we would have another register here, or two, collecting all of this stuff. Oh, the way they do, you would have two side by side, one for black and one for gray. Dumb on steroids, sorry. Now, those of us who come from cold weather countries, you simply can't do that because everything would freeze up like a block. So they get away with this shit here because stuff doesn't freeze up. But that doesn't make it a good plan. It makes it a horrible plan. So, anyways, that's how that would function. This toilet here would come out. You flush it, it goes here, hits this stop sign, and then goes that way. Okay, now, on our 40-year-old house in Escazú, I just had an experience here last month. Wife phones me and says, the showers are not draining. And I say, lovely. So I hire a guy with a power auger to come in, and he charges us really healthy for that, and it works for like 3 days. So I go back home, and we go on a warpath and I found one of these concrete boxes buried in our backyard. Looks like a concrete box Walmart. You know, it's like 14 boxes in this backyard. And we find a hidden box that was buried underground. We open that up, and now this has taken 40 years, but just the same, because it's in a garden, all of the plant's roots gravitate towards that. So we got into this box, and it was just a big ball of roots. So nothing is going through that, even if it's just gray water. Well, I mean, it was better that there wasn't any crap in there, but you know, that's the only thing that's good about that split system as concerned. So now, like, as if I didn't hate them boxes enough, now I'm on steroids. Like, oh, okay, so this is creating an attraction for stuff to put them in the garden to attract roots to grow into them over the years, and then you're out fixing it. Well, now that I'm standing here, and cost-wise, all them stupid concrete boxes add up. Here we have one. This is one cleanout, a direct line going over to the septic tank. So, first of all, as far as efficiency of flow is concerned, and this is sloped at 2%. Never more, never less. Well, if it's more, it has to be at least 45%. So this goes straight through and connects into the septic tank over there. So, first question is, a nice straight line like that, why is it going to plug up? Now also, I only use 3-inch lines, because according to the UPC, Universal Plumbing Code, I can put 12 toilets on a 3-inch line. Now I ask you, how many houses have I built with 12 toilets? That would be approximately 0, because at 12 toilets, does that not make it a hotel? So at any rate, but what I do, instead of using the traditional, what is common here, a 4-inch tube, but really crappy what they call sanitary tube. This is what's called Schedule 26. So this is a much heavier tube, much less likelihood of it breaking down the road. And especially when I'm burying these under concrete, that is sheer insanity. So, and the other reason I don't use 4 inches, because of course, being the circumference of a circle, a 4-inch is consuming a lot more PVC than a 3-inch line does. For nothing. It doesn't work any better. The big thing is to keep your flow constant drop of 2%, and no stop signs, yield signs, whatever you want to call it. A straight run that goes all the way through and ends up in the septic tank. And if something really bizarre happens, that's our emergency exit. You know, look at it exactly. It's like a fire exit. So it's only there for emergency. So now this is going to get buried in this garden. It'll be hidden away. If sometimes it's just a matter of digging up a bit of sod, unthreading that big screw, basically, and running a snake that goes all the way through to the other end without any problems. And these lines, of course, we never put anything more than a 45-degree turn on for the same thing. So, because if it's more than, if you put an elbow on, a snake won't go through that. So these are all Ys. Everything is a Y. Everything you see here. There's another Y. Double 45. Double 45 there. Double 45 here. Because then you can get anything in there. If I had a client, they were having problems with their master toilet, because somebody had rented it. So they ended up lifting the toilet, and the problem simply wouldn't go away. They lifted the toilet, and they found, jammed in the flange, one of those little tools for flossing your teeth. that looks like a Y, and it was wedged in there. And you go, how the hell did that end up in a toilet? But at any rate, if you got weird stuff that happens, you know, at least you don't have to, you know, start smashing up floors and crap like that. So, I mean, this is a little 10-minute diatribe, but the point is a very important lesson on, you know, we have a joke in Canada that says, you know, plumbers, what do they know? Shit runs downhill and payday's on Friday. Now, that's not being kind to plumbers uh, at all, but that is the joke. But, you know, it does require a little bit more knowledge than that to build a system that is designed to be okay. Now, the other thing that is often missing, and houses often have asthmatic plumbing systems, meaning they're not properly vented. And I said to people, just take a bottle, any size of bottle, fill it full of water, turn it upside down, and watch how the water escapes. And it's going glug, 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 because it's gasping for air. Punch a little hole, I mean, even an 1/8-inch hole in the other end of the bottle, and phew, away it goes. So here is one vent. Now we make these much bigger in Canada because, you know, they freeze close in the middle of winter. And another one here. And we have the tanks are also vented. And especially the tanks, you need the venting well up in the air. So we have septic tank here and a biodigester here that is full of volcanic rock. Oh, no, I think we include those down. Anyways, whatever. It is full of, well, that whole thing is full of, that's about 1 1/4 cubic meters of volcanic rock. So that makes all the little apartments for your little biological bacteria buddies to have a very active tank. And then we're going to run that down and make the field way down there. So at this time of the year, it's going to be also watering the garden. But anyways, this is the vent line up high so that any movement in and out will not be putting off sewer gas in the nose zone of the owners. But that's the... Now this is only a 2-bedroom house, so it's not a complicated plumbing system. What it is, though, is a damn efficient one. And something else we're putting in here is a gas trap, or a grease trap. So here's your grease trap. They make these in plastic now, so see, that isn't a trap, so that water flows in here, collects in here, and then goes out. So any of your grease is accessible on this side, because even, you know, at these temperatures, it's much warmer than is typically where many people are listening to this from. That grease congels in your system. Even if you're, I mean, God, you should never be pouring grease oils down your sink to begin with. But even, you know, from washing dishes and whatnot and frying pans and whatnot, it builds up, and those are actually supposed to be cleaned once a month. But the sink is right here. So that line will run across here. This is a service area out here for gas and air conditioners and water, whatnot. Anyways, that will go right here so that it can be cleaned easily, and then it'll connect. That's what this Y is sitting here. That will flow out and connect into this Y, and then flow into the septic tank from there. So well, here's our water line. This is a 1-inch PEX water line, so we've got lots of water flow from the water tank, because here we're above the water system in Hatillo. So we pump the water up from the Asadas tanks, gets pumped up into this fiberglass tank. Well, this is basically the same tank as what the septic is, but with special potable water resin in it. Pardon for the noise. Guys, don't pay attention to me when I'm on one of my lectures. And this is definitely a lecture on how to do plumbing in Costa Rica. And my first lesson to anybody is, a primary lesson is, ignore dumbass plans. Because it'll never pan out if you break those rules. Like that, that rule about the plumbers, the shit runs downhill. Well, you're not going to break that rule. Doesn't matter how genius of a plumber you are, have respect to what Mother Nature does. And a lot of times, as I said, they use those 4-inch lines and then they slope them at 1%. Dumb, dumb, dumb. Stick to 3-inch lines and slope them at 2%. That is the law. 2%, not less. And if it's more, it must be a lot more, like 45%. If you got to change levels, you can put in a 45-degree and drop it like that, and therefore, because otherwise solids will, if you do less than that, solids can block up. The water runs away and abandons the solids there. So that's another rule of, Mother Nature, whatever you want to call it. But, this is one woman I do not want to have an argument with. Now, this whole house, you can see the lines curled up there. This is all PEX plumbing. So we run we put in that service area over there, we're running all of our water lines from there. Dedicated line to every place. So if you're in the shower and somebody goes and flushes a toilet or does something else, it won't affect it if it's on a manifold system. Because like I've got 1 inch of water coming into that manifold, and then 1/2 inches dispersing out from there. So that prevents that situation. Oh, and also you can see here on this, these are 2 lines for shower. So those we put into a cheap, what they call polyductile. It's just a cheap plastic line. The whole thing there, idea there is, although as unlikely it is, but if you have a leak in a line under a concrete floor, that is a trip from hell. Smashing out floors and one thing and another. So by doing this, we put, first of all, the water line is not touching concrete, so you don't get the same heat loss. If you put it in concrete, you got a major heat loss there. These lines are not long, but just the same, concrete sucks hot out of any of those lines. So that's insulating them. But the big thing is that the with that one you saw there with the red specks there. That's inside the other, so it is not trapped. If you have a problem with that line, it is removable. I wouldn't say it's super easy, but it's definitely possible. If it's concreted into a floor, then it's in the zone of impossible. So we do that. I think I bought a whole roll, it was like 50 bucks. So that's a $50 insurance policy, just in case something strange screws up, whatever. Whether it's 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road, it's still there. It's a perpetual insurance policy forever. So anyways, well, I'm 20 minutes of plumbing lecture. So with that, I shall sign off, folks, and happy building.